Welcome back to Investing Talk podcast.
Today we're looking at Westwater Resources. The big question is it a good time to buy now?
We want to hear from you. Subscribe, like, and comment to support the show. And if there's a specific company you want us to look into, leave it in the comments below.
So let's get into the analysis. What we have here with Westwater Resources, I think, is kind of a classic high-risk, high-potential situation.
Right.
The fundamental reality you just have to accept right off the bat is that this is a pre-revenue company.
Yeah. That's always a bit scary, isn't it? Pre-revenue, you look at the financials, like for the 6 months ending June 30, 2025, and there are, zero reported product sales, literally nothing being sold yet.
Exactly. And, as a result, they're reporting net losses. For Q2 2025, that loss was $5.1 million.
Okay, but that loss, it's not because the business is failing. It's investment.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's purely the cost of development. They're spending, huge amounts of capital to build out their main asset, that's the Kellyton graphite plant.
Gotcha. So it's construction, maybe operational ramp-up costs, things like that.
That's it. So you really need to think of them less like, say, an established mining operation.
Right.
And more like a high-growth tech company, maybe. One that's deep in R&D, burning cash to build the thing that will hopefully make money later.
Okay, so the focus isn't really on the loss itself, but maybe on how much runway they have before that cash burn becomes a serious problem.
Exactly right. And that's where the balance sheet actually looks surprisingly reassuring. It helps mitigate that pre-revenue risk quite a bit.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, as of June 30, 2025, Westwater Resources had about $22.7 million in cash and cash equivalents.
Okay, $22.7 million.
And this is really crucial. They have absolutely zero long-term debt.
Wait, zero? Zero long-term debt while building a big industrial plant. That sounds unusual.
It is pretty unusual. It means strategically they have no interest expense dragging them down. They're not tied up with bank covenants.
Have some flexibility, I suppose.
Maximum flexibility during this build-out phase. And their liquidity overall is just, phenomenal for a mid-cap developer, their current ratio.
Okay, remind us, current ratio is assets versus liabilities, short-term stuff.
Yeah, liquid assets divided by short-term liabilities, theirs is above 8.0.
8. So for every dollar they owe soon, they have $8 ready to go.
Pretty much. It's like financial armor for a company in this kind of high-risk phase. It means they can probably handle some unexpected bumps, maybe delays or cost overruns without immediate panic.
That makes sense. That resilience must be key to the whole bullish argument. But let me play devil's advocate here.
Okay.
They're burning, $5 million a quarter? That $22 million, it doesn't last forever if things go sideways with the project, does it?
No, it doesn't. The burn rate is significant.
So why would investors jump in now, given that? Unless there's a really strong, competitive advantage once Kellyton is running?
That's the perfect question, and it brings us to the strategic positioning. That competitive moat, I think, is probably the strongest part of the whole story here.
Okay.
Westwater Resources is setting itself up to be one of the only U.S.-based developers of battery-grade natural graphite.
So it's not just about mining graphite. It's about being a secure, domestic part of the battery supply chain.
Exactly. They stand to directly benefit from, all these big government initiatives. Think Inflation Reduction Act, efforts to secure domestic battery production.
Because the U.S. doesn't want to rely on, say, China for critical battery materials like graphite. That's a geopolitical risk.
Right. Westwater Resources is positioning itself as a solution to that specific risk. It makes them strategically important. And
we've seen how Department of Energy support, or even just the potential for it, can really boost companies in this space. It's like a non-market catalyst.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
And their advantage isn't just policy. It's also about the resource itself. There was news back on October 27, 2025, confirming the Coosa graphite mine as the long-term source of material for the Kellyton plant.
Yeah.
So you have this integrated, domestic, high-purity supply chain.
Which must be attractive to U.S. battery makers or EV companies. Consistent supply, lower geopolitical risk, maybe faster shipping?
All of the above.
Yeah.
There's innovation, too. I saw they got a U.S. patent back in September 2025.
Oh, yeah.
For what? For a new graphite purification technology they plan to use at Kellyton. That's not just building, it's improving the process.
Interesting. So innovating on the process itself, what does that signal?
Well, it suggests management competence, right?
Right.
And potentially lower operating costs down the road. Purification is often the trickiest, most expensive part. Efficiency gains there really strengthen their long-term economics.
And the timing seems good because the market they're aiming for, electric vehicles, it's just huge and growing fast. Graphite demand is expected to surge?
Oh, the demand side is absolutely booming. It's a massive secular growth trend they can ride for years if they get production running.
Okay, if they get production running. That brings us back to the present. The fundamentals sound promising long term, but what's the stock actually doing now?
Right, let's talk market sentiment and technicals. Because short term, this has definitely been acting like a momentum stock.
Yeah, I saw it was in a pretty clear uptrend recently, like up almost 35% in the 2 weeks before July 25th, 2025.
That's right, 34.86%. That kind of quick move in a microcap often suggests, maybe smarter money accumulating shares ahead of expected news.
Anticipation building. Have we seen any clear support levels emerge on the charts?
Yeah, it looks like there's decent support holding around the $1.74 to $0.76 area.
Yeah.
Traders seem willing to step in and buy dips there.
Okay. And looking forward, say, the next 3 months, what are the projections suggesting?
Well, the bullish outlooks we looked at are projecting a target range somewhere between 92 cents and maybe up to $1.45, assuming things go well.
So potentially significant near-term upside if catalysts hit right. What about analyst ratings? Are the pros buying into this story?
They seem to be. When you pull together the different analyst views, the consensus rating is actually a strong buy.
Strong buy, okay. And price targets?
The official targets range from $1.57 up to $2.
Wow, okay. That implies some serious upside from where it is now, like potentially multiples.
It does. It's aggressive.
Do the momentum indicators back that up? Or is it just hope pinned on the future plan?
Surprisingly, the technical signals are quite strong right now. Things like the MACD, the RSI, they're generally trending bullishly.
So healthy buying pressure, suggesting it might be sustainable, not just a short squeeze or something.
It looks like a healthy accumulation phase, yes. But, and this is but the volatility is still incredibly high.
Right.
We've seen it swing like over 11% in a single day recently.
Yeah.
So this isn't a stock for the faint of heart,
Definitely not a set it and forget it type.
No. But that volatility is also being influenced by growing institutional interest. It's been included in some ETFs, like VTI and VXF.
Ah, index inclusion. So passive money flows in automatically.
Exactly. That provides a bit of structural support through index-linked buying.
Okay, so high volatility, strong analyst targets, growing institutional interest. It really feels like it comes down to hitting those near-term milestones. What are the big catalyst investors need to watch in the next, say, 0 to 3 months?
The most immediate one is the Q3 2025 earnings release. That's scheduled for November 14th.
And that's important not just for the numbers, but for updates on the Kelly and Dim 10 project timeline, right? CapEx, progress.
Absolutely crucial for clarity on the timeline. Any positive confirmation or acceleration there would likely be a big boost.
Makes sense. But the real game changer, I imagine, would be a customer announcement, like signing an actual buyer for the graphite.
Yes, exactly. An anticipated offtake agreement. If they land a deal with a major U.S. battery or EV maker,
that would be huge validation. It basically guarantees future revenue before the plan's even done. De-risks it significantly.
Totally. It shifts the perception from speculative development to, well, a future producer with locked-in sales. That could really move the stock.
And then there's the government funding angle. Still speculation, but if they got confirmation of a big DOE grant or loan,
that would be massive too. It could potentially remove the need for future share offerings, meaning less risk of dilution for current shareholders, another major de-risking event.
So the next 3 months are just packed with potential triggers.
They really are. But we have to remember, the ultimate goal, the long-term trigger, is getting that Kellyton plant into full-scale production. Target is still late 2025 or early 2026.
Which brings us back to the risks. Let's be clear, execution risk has got to be high here, right? Being one of the first movers in the U.S. for this.
Undeniably high. You've got all the standard potential issues with big projects, delays in commissioning, maybe challenges hitting the right purity or volume consistently.
Cost overruns.
Cost overruns, absolutely. And these things can hit a smaller company much harder. They just have less room for error.
And even with that decent cash balance, if they hit major snags, they might need more money, which could mean selling more stock.
Right. That risk of future dilution is real if financing is needed on unfavorable terms. That's probably the main thing, keeping it from being, a slam dunk.
Okay, so you have to accept that dilution risk.
You do. But when you weigh that against the strategic importance being one of the only domestic options and these upcoming catalysts, the picture still looks pretty compelling, I think.
All right, so let's try and sum this up. Based on everything we've discussed, the sources we looked at, where do you land on Westwater Resources overall?
Overall, I'd assign it a strong bullish rating. Let's say An 8 out of 10.
Okay, an 8 out of 10. Why?
Well, three main reasons. First, that excellent strategic position in the U.S. battery supply chain. Second, the surprisingly strong balance sheet for a company at this stage that no debt, high liquidity situation is key. And third, just the sheer number of potentially significant short-term catalysts coming up very soon.
So it sounds like it could work for different types of investors, maybe short-term traders playing the catalyst, but also long-term folks wanting exposure to the whole EV battery theme if they can handle the risk.
I think that's fair. It suits both, potentially, but it definitely demands close attention given the volatility and the importance of these next few months. The potential payoff is there, though.
It is. What's fascinating here is that every major upcoming event in the next 3 months, from the November 14th earnings update to potential customer news, is a possible upside trigger that investors need to watch closely.